seems like, why would you do that? Why would you designate one area to be the gay area? I mean,
It's really funny because those headlines are just they're really funny. I mean, it makes it sound like it was some intentional thing where they're like, okay, we have to have this one planet that's gay, and I guess it's just like the fabulous planet. But actually, it has to do with the way they built the game, where it's all voice acted, and the way the system was set up. They have this whole long explanation, but basically, it would have taken a huge amount of time, so they could either have this planet or have no homosexual relation opportunities for for players. So it was like either this or nothing, and I don't know. What do you want?
I don't know what the better decision is
I
there.
don't know either, actually.
Like, that's really, really difficult because on the one hand, you don't have any of the content in there at all, especially in, when the Star Wars BioWare games have had, or when BioWare themselves are known for having this sort of more open-minded approach to homosexual relations in their games. But if you segregate it in this way, like if this is the only option, then I mean, I know they're not making a case for segregation of people,
It's not intentional, clearly,
but that has to come up, and as evidenced. I mean, it instantly came up. It was the very first thing people seemed to say about it.
in their defense, I do think they said that going forward, the new content they'll release will also allow this. So it will be less segregated as time goes on, I'm led to believe. But
So it's something that they're going to address over time.
yeah, just
I just want to know what the actual planet
that's what I'm thinking.
looks like. Like, what is the way they built the planet? Is it going to rub off as offensive, or?
I'm guessing it's just a normal Star Wars planet, as normal as they can be.
Yeah, I suspect it's probably going to be just your standard, whatever a Star Wars planet actually is. I think it'll be fairly average. It'll just have that capability, and that's the only way you could do it. I mean, if the community wanted to do something, if they want to turn it into the Gay Pride Parade planet, they can do that. But they'll have to figure out a way to do that within the limitations you give them, because if you make it a gay pride planet, you're just feeding into the problem.
Yeah, I mean, they were taking it from both sides, where they had the people who were mad that it was segregation, and then they had people who were like, "Why are you forcing this on me?" when they're not forcing it on anyone.
Yeah, don't go to that planet. What do you care?
And even if you do
it-
go to the planet, you have options.
You're the guy most protected by this. Least position to be offended. The person who optionally could choose to have nothing to do whatsoever with the homosexual content in the game. At this point, you're about as protected as you could possibly be.
Now, is this planet, like, is it actually designated as the only planet where there are gay people on this planet, and all of the people on this planet are gay? Is that actually how it is, or is it just like this is the only planet currently where you can have that capability, but not everybody there is?
The characters on this planet will have that dialogue option.
Yeah, and it's the only planet in the galaxy where the characters have those options, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everything there has to be of that nature. Like, this isn't the gay planet. This is the gay-friendly planet.
Well, I mean, I don't see the problem. I guess I could see why it would be a problem, but I don't know.
It was just too perfect for headlines, though, the story.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and you saw that. It just exploded.
You can't try to do the right thing, I guess, and then...
Not after the fact. If they did this from the ground up, it wouldn't have been an issue.
No, well, exactly. If they'd done it from the ground up, it would have been embraced and accepted, and people would love it and be thrilled, and they missed the opportunity, and then coming late to the party like this was a bad idea. They should have just waited for the next game or the next huge expansion, found some way that they could do it across the board, or just hold out for the next time.
Yeah, just one in a long line of BioWare controversies.
They really do seem to get themselves in the thick of it.
And it's always like the same thing. It seems, or it's usually all related.
It seems like they aren't learning their lesson, I guess. Either that or they just have really obnoxious fans. I can't tell. Maybe both.
There's console rumors flying around now.
Mm-hmm.
Games industry ran a story about an analyst saying to expect like a $400 price point for the new consoles. They're saying off-the-shelf high-end PC components will be used in largely for the production, which would then make them easier to develop for, and probably it will almost certainly reduce costs. Allowing Sony maybe to not put so much into their thing and charge it like $500-600 for their launch. And then they're saying October launch for Sony, November for Microsoft.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting. I don't really have any reason for believing this, but I kind of had thought that Microsoft would try and come out first again, but...
Well, it worked so well for them last time, but, I mean, the lead is not significant now.
If it's only a month, that's not that big a deal, I guess.
Yeah.
But...
We're not talking about a fall, release for one console and a spring release for the other. That's not that would ever happen. I can't imagine a successful spring release of a home console.
Who's crazy enough to try it? Hopefully neither of them.
Oh, yeah!
That's actually what I'm more interested in, is all of these, like, Steambox, Ouya, there's, like, GameStick is another one, all these people randomly getting into hardware, it seems like. But for the console thing, I thought it was interesting that they, that firm who did the analysis suggested that they would announce the consoles before E3, which makes a lot of sense. I kind of hope that happens. And then they do hands-on at E3. That'd be great.
Yeah, I would expect sometime in the month just prior to E3, sometime in May, maybe even as early as April, but I doubt it. We'll see some sort of dedicated events going on. Microsoft will have one, Sony will have one. I can definitely see that happening leading up to an announcement. I think it's less likely for Sony.
Didn't the Xbox 360 get announced on MTV, or am I completely making that up?
It was unveiled on MTV, May 12, 2005.
Wow.
According to Wikipedia.
So there you go.
That makes it even more likely then that we'd see something like that again.
Yeah, well, it figures. If you announce a little bit early, you get a quick boost, and then on top of that, there's already the expectation going into E3. There's already the excitement and buzz. It's not like, will they announce? No, they have announced. It's going to be here. We're going to get to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's absolutely a smart way to go. As long as you don't, show it off at E3 and say it's in stores now. That might be a lapse in judgment.
So the consensus is everybody thinks, we're pretty sure that this year's the year that the next consoles are coming.
Barring some kind of apocalyptic natural disaster, I think so, yeah.
Every side of the dodecahedron in the Magic 8 Ball reads all signs point to yes. All of them.
So what if it doesn't happen? What happens next?
I don't know. I mean, it seems like we have quite a few games coming out already for current gen platforms and PC.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be that big a deal.
This console generation is going to have another, I would say 2 years of great stuff, and then probably a couple of years after that, as it sort of peters out. They've only really recently, it's only very recently that everybody has stopped making PS2 games. Like, there were still titles coming out up until about a year or two ago. Nothing great, usually sports stuff, but the fact that the console continued to be supported for as long as it was, yeah.
Well, I mean, it only just got discontinued too, the PS2.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the thing that when they said 10-year life cycle for the PlayStation 3 and everyone rolled their eyes, no, that's an absolutely realistic goal, especially seeing how the PlayStation 2 performed in the long term. It had a very long tail, and good for them. I think the 10 years was totally realistic for the PlayStation 3, especially since they've managed to, hold off. They could have announced last year consoles. Like, that would
Hmm.
have made sense.
Hmm.
But they didn't, and there was no need because the consoles that are working now are still performing perfectly fine. It's probably time for us to move on. But no, 10 years was very realistic. What about this Disney Infinity thing?
I,
I
I
heard
don't
it
even know
prints
how to
money.
describe it. There's so many moving parts to it.
Yeah,
But
so it's
basically, it's Skylanders with Disney and Pixar, and it's like if you played the Toy Story 3 game, there was a toy box mode in that. It was sort of like a sandbox. That's half the gameplay is that, and then there's play sets for each world where it's sort of like different gameplay. But yeah,
okay. So you buy Disney Infinity, and I assume it comes with the little stand thing, and
maybe
then
some figures.
you buy figures, and those are characters that can then be played in the game. And then play sets, which add stages and so forth to the game. And then there's something called power discs, which I guess those give powers to
Yeah, it
characters
was like customization.
and things like that. And so all of the stuff that you buy for this and hook up then adds assets that you can use in the toy box mode as well.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure how much is restricted to you purchasing the toy, though. I have a feeling. I mean, they have to come out with a set amount. I think there are 17 announced toys for the launch. I have a feeling most of those, or all of them, would be in the game, and then you just get extra bonuses, maybe cosmetic stuff. So there's like it sort of reminds me of Little Big Planet, this toy box mode where you can kind of create your own sub games, like a 2D platformer, that kind of thing. Just some really they give you the tools to have some really creative games that they might not have originally thought to put in the game itself.
Well, and then there's like drop in, drop out online multiplayer.
Yeah, for players, I think.
That's great. That's really cool. The thing is, I watched the trailer for it, and I don't. I'm not like a big Disney Pixar fan.
Hmm.
It's fine, but I love The Incredibles. Like, I just adore that movie. I don't know if it's because I think it's like the most grown-up thing they've ever made, or if I just like really, really depressing stories about people like past their prime. I do. I mean, like The Wrestler is one of the greatest movies ever. But I love that, and I've always thought that that was a game world or a world that deserved more exploration. Modern superhero stuff is great, and so I loved seeing it in there, and that made me kind of interested. Um, because the rest of it, I probably don't care, but man, is it going to sell?
Oh,
Just the way Skylanders sold.
and
That's one thing. That's a
that's like
new
not even a
IP.
known property. It was
Yeah.
actually. I mean, obviously Spyro was its own franchise, but I don't think a lot of kids knew that.
Well, and it was a franchise that had seen better days and had, I don't want to say long been forgotten, but nothing good for Spyro had come out
Hmm.
in a very, very long time. Uh, and then here comes Skylanders out of the blue, and it does exceptionally well. And now you're going to have all of these known entities in this Disney universe available. And the thing I realize is that, I mean, it's anti-piracy. Like, it's not going to be affected by piracy. Never mind that, generally speaking, you don't think of the market of people that are going to be interested in these Disney titles being the same as the, group of people who are doing a lot of heavy software piracy.
Hmm.
But, having that physical element in the game, physical elements are a anti-piracy measure. Offering something or requiring something physical is, by its very nature, restrictive. And you would you see a lot of these pre-order bonus things and so forth. I look at them in a lot of ways as enticements to get people to buy the game instead of pirate it. I think that has to enter their minds to some degree. And here, that's all this is. It's just more stuff to buy.
I'm curious to see how they roll this out because it's launching on basically all the major consoles, and then mobile, and I think either PC or web-based somehow versions are coming out later. So they're kind of trying to hit every single platform there is, which is smart.
Well, so if you buy the physical thing, does it work for all platforms, or do you have to is there separate toys for separate
they only
platforms?
Mentioned one that I saw, so I assume I don't know what the technology is behind it.
It's probably USB.
The stuff you create, is that cross-platform? Like if I make a thing, my Xbox,
probably not.
Crazy.
That would be cool.
I think that would be very, very difficult to accomplish.
Yeah, you've got different levels of asset fidelity. I mean, there's a 3DS version for crying out loud.
Well, and there's the networks to the various networks to deal with, and I can't see that happening. I can't see cross compatibility of that scale. The other thing that I find interesting about these types of games is that they're almost brick and mortar retail's answer to downloadable content. Digital distribution is going to slowly but surely push game sales out of brick and mortar as adoption increases. And we're still years out from this. It's not going to happen anytime immediately. But the Skylanders, Disney Infinity, these are in a lot of ways test cases for ways that retail can still be part of the party and still have a way to get a cut of the video game business in a way that's even profitable for them.